going on, everybody? Welcome back to Full Throttle Auto. My name is Harris, and today we're going to be installing a new stainless braided clutch line coming up. We got this stainless steel braided Teflon covered line that's going to replace all the way from the master to the slave, and then these are the fittings you're going to use with that. And I picked it up from Power Rev Racing, as you guys can see here. It's P2R, and the specific one, obviously I did it by vehicle. So here's the product on their website. It's actually got 0 reviews. After I look at it, I will leave a review, but if you're curious on what the manufacturer says about their product, this is the P2R Power Rev Racing stainless steel clutch hose. Is made from Teflon lined stainless steel braided hose with a black protective covering. This clutch line connects straight into the clutch master and goes into the clutch slave. It fits both the V6 and the 4-cylinder, obviously with the manual transmission. Now, sometimes manufacturers will tell you why you want to do this, but basically there's a few reasons I'm doing it. One, normally the steel lines that are used on any car really are going to rust, and by going stainless, this is going to prevent it. Two, by eliminating going from solid line to a rubber line down to another solid line. I think on the slave there's another section that's solid. This is all one style line, so you're not getting that variation in the line. So with all that being said, technically you should have a little better clutch feel, while at the same time you also are preventing any possible issues that you might have with either steel or just rubber from punctures, rotting away, and stuff like that. And when replacing all that, we're going to replace the fluid. Right now I just have some .3 Lucas fluid in there that I replaced recently, but we are going to go with the same fluid we're using for the brakes, which is the Motul 660. This way, just both fluids are the same fluid, so that way if I have to refill it or change it, it's going to be easy. All right, now that that's done, let's just get into installing this.
First thing we did is remove the intake so we could have more access to the master cylinder and the reservoir. We also moved the fuse box to clear up more room so we can have as much room to work with as possible, since the master is located behind the driver's side strut tower and it's very annoying to get to.
Master is...
Before detaching the line, we of course empty out the master cylinder reservoir of any old fluid, so that way the leak is kept to a minimum. I used of course my air compressor powered bleeder, but you can of course use an manual one as well that you can pick up pretty much from anywhere. I'll have them linked in the description. Once the old fluid was removed, we then started removing the original line from the master to the slave. The way it's attached, I guess you would say there is a floating nut that you do have to do a 2-wrench method, a line wrench, and then we used an adjustable wrench to hold the floating nut while undoing the line nut. However, once you got the line nut loose from the other floating nut, then you were pretty good in using just the line wrench. For the removal of the line, you did have to repeat the same process both for the master and the slave cylinder. There is also a bracket that you have to remove that is next to the slave cylinder to be able to remove the stock line. We ended up removing the whole bracket mainly because it was hard to detach the line from that bracket due to rust. Before attaching the new line to the master and the slave, we did first put the new fittings into the master and the slave before attaching that line to make things a little bit easier. Once the fittings were attached to both the master and the slave, we then obviously started to route the new line. We ended up using the similar path that the original line took. Since this was a flexible line, we could use the strut tower as a body of wall where the line can slightly sit, and then underneath the battery tray going into the slave. And as you saw, we made sure that the right angle fitting went to the master. And of course we did end up using zip ties, so that way the line was held against something, so it wasn't just moving around and rubbing against stuff to go bad. And of course, after that was done, we ended up adding the Moto 660 fluid and then bleeding the clutch line using the air compressor bleeder that I have.
All right, so that's it for this one. I've been driving on the new line for a little bit now, and honestly, it's been great. Do I notice a difference in the clutch pedal? Not really, but the peace of mind knowing that I'm no longer using two different materials on the line, and that it's made out of something that should last longer than either one of those materials put together is very good. I guess that's the best way I can put it. But no, I'm honestly really happy with it. The most annoying thing is where that master is located. Sorry I couldn't record that any better to get you guys the footage of what it looks like in there, but it's behind there. It's just very annoying to get to. So as long as you move the things like the intake and that fuse box just a little bit out of the way, you'll be able to get to it. Not as easily as most people would like to, but it is what it is, and it worked out at the end. Huge thanks, of course, to my buddy for always helping me out with this stuff. It's a pain to try to do things on your own, especially when it comes to working on the car and recording videos. So much thanks to him for hanging out with me and doing these. So I got to give him a shout out for that. But do I recommend the product? I definitely do. Just like I said, just knowing that it's one piece of material, which is stainless steel, which it shouldn't rot, it shouldn't go bad overall. Now don't get me wrong, can fittings fail and stuff like that? They absolutely can, but it won't rot away, it won't split or anything like that. And as long as it's properly you know, tied down or zip tied as we did, and it's not just moving around everywhere, it'll be perfectly fine. But that's really it for this one. I really don't have much else to say. Once again, recommend it if you want to. If this is something you were interested in doing, I definitely recommend doing it, but it's obviously it's not necessary until maybe you're having issues with your original stock clutch lines. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped. There will be more videos coming out. I'm not sure. I think I have one more Honda Accord video to come out, and then after that we're going to start diving into the new daily vehicle. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.